trends that we see are two major areas where people are injured. And believe it or not, the first one is shoe selection. There's three types of arches: a high arch, a normal arch, and a low arch or a flat foot. Do you know which type of arch you have?
Yeah, I think so.
It's very important that you do, because if you get this part wrong, you only have a 33% chance of choosing the correct shoe. Come on up, please. And your shoe selection is important because, right over here, go ahead, take your shoes off, please. Your shoe selection actually aligns your ankle, your shin, your knee, and your hip. If you have the wrong shoes, you're actually going to throw all of that out of alignment and increase the wear and tear on the body. So, for instance, stand facing this way, please. What happens every time your foot hits the ground is this foot wants to pronate or roll in. Now you notice when I move that foot in, it rotates this knee in. If I move this foot out, it automatically rotates that knee out. So if you don't have the correct shoes for the type of arch you have, it means every time your foot hits the ground, it's going to try to do this, which pulls this knee in and increases the amount of force on the medial meniscus, the inside edge of that knee. So not only do we misalign the ankle, we misalign the shin, because your body's going to try to keep this straight when this is rotating in, which means it's going to be a lot more force against the shin and increase your chance of shin splints. Misalign the knee, increase your chance of hurting the knee, and possibly misalign the hip and the lower back. So choosing the correct shoes for you becomes very important, because even when we talk about form, if your shoes are wrong, it's going to change this form, it's going to change this alignment. Thank you. So if we look at the bottom of your shoes, we should see a specific wear pattern going from the outside edge of your shoe up to that big toe. That's good, because that shows you're pushing off that big toe, and we want to see that. So making sure you buy shoes from a real shoe store, not just from a sporting goods store. Because a sporting goods store, the only qualification to work in shoes is to be able to read the numbers between 5 and 13 on the side of the box. Meaning, what are you buying for that cheap price? For the $29.99, $39.99 that you're going to pay, you're buying shoes that are 1 or 2 seasons old that didn't sell at that time. That's why they're cheaper now. So proper shoe selection goes a long way towards preventing injuries. So you need to make sure you buy shoes from a real shoe store that can look at your feet, evaluate what type of arch you have, and it can change over time, and make sure you get correctly selected for shoes. Now, if you do not have a normal arch, the minimalist shoes and the 5-toe shoes are not for you. They will increase your chance of injury. So if you have a high arch, if you have a low arch, make sure you get shoes that are meant to correct that. Don't try to vary. It will injure you over time. Now, on that aspect, you need to also make sure you get the correct size shoe, length and width. Different manufacturers cut their shoes on a different width platform. Nikes tend to be a little bit narrower, even though some of the newer models have gone to about a D platform instead of the narrow C that they used to use. If you have a wider foot, then you need to go to something like a New Balance shoe, which is cut on a wider platform, and they make multiple widths for a given shoe length. So make sure you get the right shoe for you. Now the second thing is your actual gait form, meaning the mechanics of running. There's actually 3 different gaits. So there's a walking gait pattern, a jogging gait pattern, and a running gait pattern. And the jogging, running are usually where we see a problem. When we walk, it's okay to heel strike. You actually have midfoot, you have heel off, and then the swing phase. Now, jogging is a very similar pattern. It's okay to heel strike when you jog, but not when you run. Running is a separate gait pattern. Yes?
Yeah, I have a question on the shoes. Did we go past the shoes?
Okay.
Why does one shoe of mine wear and one shoe not?
You may be, A, compensating, meaning you may be putting a lot more pressure on one side than the other. And what we have to do in something like that is look at, did you have a prior injury? Prior injuries can usually cause compensation of the body, meaning we will typically favor one side over the other. The other thing we would look at is flexibility or strength and balances, meaning those can change where your foot lands. Meaning if your IT band, starting from the hip, going down across to the knee, is tight, it causes this foot to rotate out, which can cause abnormal wear. We tend to see excess wear on the inside or the outside edge of that heel up to the toe of that foot, compared to straight line.
So I'm just running wrong.
You might be running incorrectly. So it could be shoes, it could be possible previous injury, or strength or muscle imbalances. So we have all of those? It's okay. So the other thing though is your gait, meaning jogging versus running. Now what is the difference? Number one, speed. A lot of the treadmills actually have quick start buttons in 2 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, and 6 miles an hour. Those are not just driven by the individual manufacturers. That's an industry standard. 2 miles an hour is a walking gait pattern. 4 miles an hour is a jogging, 6 miles an hour is a running gait pattern. If you're going faster than 6 miles an hour, meaning faster than a 10-minute mile, you should be running, not jogging. If you're using a jogging gait pattern at a running speed, you're probably going to hurt yourself. Because when we run, we don't want you to hit heel first. We actually want you to hit between the ball of the foot and the heel right along the midfoot. So how do we do that? One of the first things is we don't want you to stick your foot way out in front of you. Most of the time when we talk about stride length, most people think stride length means sticking my foot further out in front of me. No, it actually doesn't. Stride length is actually kicking that foot up further behind me. Your hamstrings are the keys to your speed. So what do your hamstrings do? If I kick my foot up this way, it shoves the rest of me forward faster. Your quad extends the leg. Well, that's pushing me away from the direction I'm trying to go. I want something to propel me in the direction I'm trying to go. So kicking the heels up, making sure that stride length is back this way, not out in front of you, becomes very important. So when we watch people run, one of the things we look at is how high are you kicking that heel up? If you're only bringing that heel up just high enough to stick it forward again and swing, then there's a big problem. So one of the things that we look at is, are you kicking that heel up high enough? When we see people jogging, that foot's just coming up high enough so they don't kick the ground when they bring it forward. That's not what we want to see. A runner will kick that foot up behind them. What this does is actually not allow you to stick that other foot out in front and heel strike. So one of the biggest cues we can give people is make sure you're kicking the heels up behind you. It actually helps straighten out your form. If you think about how you run, if you put your foot way out there, it's going to land heel first. It can't help it. So where should your foot land? Your foot should land barely in front of you, kick straight back. So it comes up, straight down, kicks back. Up, straight down, kicks back. That's the correct running form. When we see a lot of people, it's foot way out in front here, and then they're trying to go past the fact they've actually slowed themselves down. And when you stick that foot out, it doesn't allow the body to function mechanically correct. If I heel strike, it sends a reverberation up my leg and does not allow that Achilles tendon to stretch and spring the way it's supposed to. If I land here, come down, this Achilles tendon stretches out like a big rubber band, and then as I move forward, it springs off and actually helps propel me forward. If I come forward, stick this out, and hit, I'm literally slowing myself down. And that's not what you want to do when you're trying to move forward. So running is about kicking the heels up behind you. Now, one of the easiest things to do is run in place. So what I want you to do is stand up right over here, and I want you running in place. Let's go.
I think I always jog. I do. Is that bad?
No, as long as you're not trying to jog very quickly. So, running in place should be this. Do you notice where you're landing? Are you landing on the heels of your feet? No, you're landing on the ball of the foot, midfoot, and kicking those heels up to about mid, or about the knee, a little bit below. This is running. Down, relaxing. That's where you should land when you run. If you're not landing there, your form is incorrect. You're really sticking that foot out, which is going to force you to heel strike. So we want ball of the foot, midfoot, kick back, kick up to about knee height, bring it forward, straight down. That's it. That's the whole mechanics of running at the lower body. If you're doing any other variation, extending out, it's going to misalign the ankle, possibly the knee and the hip, and cause a problem. And you're not going to propel yourself forward very quickly. Any questions on that? Go ahead and have a seat, please.
Hey, Dale, I have a question.
Please.
With that form, as your speed changes, what part of that changes? Is it the heel kick higher changes?
The heel kick will become higher.
Okay.
You will see a number of runners who can extend out more here.
Okay.
But what will happen is when they come down, they're still landing ball of the foot, midfoot, meaning they won't extend out and then hit. They will extend out and then come down and actually hit ball of the foot, midfoot. So they'll extend further and then bring it back and contact the ground. Not extend out.
Not reaching further.
Exactly.
Okay.
When I run, I like to run kind of at a pace that I'm comfortable with. So even though it's a slower pace, do you still want me to be at the ball?
Yes.
Mid? And then
Kick back.
Kick back.
Kick back.
But
Because
that'll make my pace faster. I want to get at a comfortable pace where I can regulate my breathing.
Okay, so what pace do you run at?
Just a little bit more than a block sometimes, you know.
Okay. It's going to be better if you actually practice that form, meaning you can regulate how many times that foot cycles through and hits the ground.
Okay.
That's going to basically be your speed. The more repetitions you get, the faster you're actually going to be running.
Okay.
What you're going to find is if you have correct form, people that have correct form and run at a slower speed, they barely look like they're working.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're not doing this a lot because the mechanics are efficient. Every step they take is propelling them forward quickly and efficiently. And that's really what we want, is we want the movement to be quick, we want it to be efficient. So we really don't go and say, extend your stride length. We actually want short, quick strides. That's all it should be. We want you running up tall. I don't like to see this. We have a lot of people that tend to run forward or think that they need to face down at the ground. No. When they talk about a slight angle forward to help your speed, they're talking about 1 degree, and that's from the ankles. A slight lean forward is it. They're not talking about run like this. If your butt's backwards when you're running, you're really loading that lower back and potentially causing a problem. I want you running up tall. I want you to try to run almost like you're an inch or two taller than what you really are. That chest needs to be up, because if you roll forward, you're collapsing the chest and actually not allowing it to expand enough to get as much air into your lungs. You're going to work hard, you're going to be breathing harder, because it's tough to breathe when I'm cramped like this. Standing up straight and tall. And then make sure you're moving your arms. It's ironic in the fact that our body has what's called reciprocal motion, meaning what the arms do, the legs do, and vice versa. If those arms are barely moving, I'll guarantee your legs are barely moving. So if you want to speed up, you need to move and drive those arms. I do a drill with a lot of my troops. I make them walk as slow as they can and then move their arms as fast as they can. And they can't do it because the upper and the lower work together. You don't see sprinters that have these huge legs and these skinny little upper bodies, because the upper and lower are combined and work as a unit. The more this moves, the more this moves. So if you're trying to work for speed, you need to really focus on driving those arms, not just here and not to the sides. We don't run like this. You run front to back, bring the hand up, the other one down here by the pocket. So this is basically your running form. You want to move those arms, which is going to move the legs faster. So make sure you watch your form, but the number one cue, kick those heels up. Kick them up to about knee height. If you watch the Summer Olympics, even the marathoners at the end were kicking way up here at the end, because your hamstrings are the keys to your speed. If you don't kick, you're not going forward as fast as you could or should, which means a lot of wasted energy, wasted breath, wasted movement, which is going to make the running a lot harder. So you need to focus on that form. It's very important. If you watch children run, a lot of children actually start out running correctly. They get those arms moving, those legs are kicking up, and they do very well. It's when we start actually trying to teach them how to run sometimes that we change the movements. But you have to make sure you're trying to run and not trying to jog. Meaning, a lot of times, we will try to jog at a fast pace.
What is the difference between jogging and running?
So, two different things. First of all, speed, meaning 6 miles an hour is considered the breaking point. Under 6, you're jogging. Over 6, you're running.
Do you change your pace even though you are jogging? Do you keep the same heel?
No,
kick?
it changes your form. Your form needs to change as you speed up.
Okay, but so if you're jogging, what form would you take?
If you're jogging, you can heel strike. Roll through, heel off, swing. It's basically a faster walk pattern. Will this still come up? Yes. Back down, heel strike, midfoot, heel off, up, and swing. But it's usually not going to come up nearly as high. on a jog. On a run, that heel's going to come up. So part of it's going to be, what are your aspirations for running or jogging? What are you trying to do? Are we doing this for general health and fitness? Are we doing this for competition? Are we going for a 5K, 10K, a half?
Jog without injury.
Okay, jog without injury. So what we need to do is, number one, practice form. Number two, make sure we have correct shoes. But the third part is going to be the conditioning aspect. Meaning, one of the other things that we see a problem with is people going, I'm going to get back to running or jogging, and I'm going to go out and do 2 miles. No. Never. If you haven't run in a long time, don't go out and decide you're just going to do 2 miles. That is way too much, way too fast.
2 miles is short.
2 miles is short if you've been practicing or working at it. 2 miles is not short if you haven't been doing anything for a while. 2 miles is a long distance. 2 miles is, to your body, every footfall 4 to 8 times your body weight pounding against those knees and joints for 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, that's a lot of force against your body that it's not used to. We actually recommend doing a run-walk protocol, which is one of the handouts that I've given you. On the back page is a run-walk protocol where if you haven't been running for a while, start out, walk, then do a jog, and it's going to basically alternate it back and forth. So it's on the very back page. So that run-walk protocol will help build you up to 30 minutes of straight running. 30 minutes of straight running, depending upon your speed, that's anywhere from 2 miles to a 5K that you're able to run consistently by the end of it. So we suggest slowly working up, depending upon age, depending upon prior injuries, slowly work up. Don't just decide you're going to go out and run a couple miles. I'll guarantee you're not going to do it for very long. It might last 2 weeks. After that, you're going to be hurting, which means you're not going to be running anymore, and we've made zero progress. We go back to the start again. If you want to consistently run, you need to give the body time to adjust. So just like any other exercise that we do, we wouldn't suddenly throw you in the gym with a barbell of 45 pounds on it and say, go. Why would we do that to your body with running? So every footfall, 4 to 8 times your body weight. That's what your body and your joints see. So don't think of those misconceptions that we had of youth of, oh, 2 miles is nothing. It's not. Not if you haven't been running. So give it time, slowly work up. We only recommend running 3 times a week. If you're doing competitions or working towards one, we can add a 4th, but ideally 3 times a week. Every other day, doing some other type of non-impact cardio on the other 2 to 3 days. So elliptical, bike, even Stairmaster would work. Swimming would be great. All of those are excellent forms of non-impact cardio. So they're still going to work on strengthening your cardio as far as your aerobic conditioning without beating up the basic mechanics and the bone structure and the muscles and tendons. So it's going to be a great way of building both. Now, ideally, you should also be using a heart rate monitor when you run. What this is going to do is give us kind of a ballpark of what is your heart rate when you run. If you're trying to go too fast and that heart rate really goes up, that speed might not be the best for you. You might need to slow it down a little bit to keep a more consistent heart rate. That's actually going to help you, number one, maintain a good pace. Number two, it's going to help teach you how fast or how quickly you can run consistently. And over time, let's say we're out jogging at 5.5 miles an hour. With training, we should see whatever heart rate you're at slowly start decreasing while you're running that 5.5 miles an hour. Which means the heart and the cardiovascular system are getting stronger, so it doesn't need to work as hard. So you can either go further and or faster to work on changing up your running to improve it. But the first thing is mechanics. So the question is, are you running? Are you jogging? That is the big thing that we need to decide and answer. If you're jogging, that's fine. Don't try to run and jog, one or the other. If you're not sure, honestly, go with the running pattern. If you run slow, it really won't hurt you. If you jog too fast, it will. Those two patterns don't match up right. So you can run slow, you can't jog fast. The body's not meant to do that. So if you're trying to go quickly, you have to transition to a running gait pattern. Any questions for me?
I'm slow.
It's okay to be slow. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm a jogger.
I'm really slow jogger. I've had people walk past me because I don't even know I'm jogging. I'm just like
So do you know what speed that you're going at?
slow.
Slow, okay. I'll look that one up on the treadmill next time.
Yeah, it's slow.
Slow speed.
It's slow. I mean, it takes probably up from here and back, even a little bit further, it used to take about 35, 40 minutes.
Okay.
But I don't think I get my heart rate up.
Yeah.
Get your heart rate up?
No.
I don't, yeah.
Okay. Getting the heart rate up becomes very important. Why are you doing this?
Habit?
Somebody says you have to, and keep your weight down, burn calories.
Okay, so will you burn calories? Yes. Now, will you necessarily strengthen your cardiovascular system? No.
So you have to do the short.
You can do the short, or you need to make sure you're getting your heart rate up high enough to challenge the cardiovascular system. Regardless of what type of exercise you do, you need to challenge the body. If you don't challenge it, it's not going to change. If it can do everything you're asking of it right now, why does it need to change? It doesn't.
Well, then that means it's infinity. I'll be going from jogging to running, and then running to racing.
You might,
And
if that's your
that's
choice.
too much.
No,
That's
if
not
that is your choice. Could you work up and just work to maintain a certain level of fitness? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I do.
What it would mean is you would probably not need to do, once we get to a certain level, you can even back off a little bit and not have to spend as much time and still maintain that level of fitness. But you need to actually see what heart rate you're at. The other nice thing is you can get on and look at where you should be, meaning we have charts on the side of most cardio machines to see age group, what heart rate zones you should be in.
No, that's the problem.
So look up heart rate zones, target heart rate zones. The other thing is when you're buying a heart rate monitor, don't worry about buying the most expensive heart rate monitor. They don't need to be the $300 ones with all the gizmos. If you don't need GPS and an altimeter on it, buy the cheap one that's on sale.
I get lost if I run. No, I mean, I need my GPS. I get lost.
If that's what you need, buy it, but the new ones all use the chest strap. The nice thing with using the chest strap heart rate monitors, if you come in and use any of the machines will pick up the radio frequency from that chest strap, put your heart rate on the screen the whole time. You don't need to grab the silly metal handles, and it will be accurate. So by knowing what heart rate zone you should be in, using the heart rate monitor and knowing where you are, you can make sure you get the most out of the time you're actually spending. If you don't know where you should be, you have no idea where you are, you're really doing a lot of guessing and hoping we see some results. It doesn't usually work out that way. So use a heart rate monitor because it's going to tell you what's going on with you right then and there. Are you at 180 beats a minute? Okay, that's a little too high. I need to back it off. Oh, I can consistently go at 150 and I can carry this pace comfortably. Then that's a good pace for you. I'm at 100. I'm not really doing any work.
That's me.
I am burning calories, but the caveat to that is it's not challenging enough for your body to strengthen your cardiovascular system. You're getting some benefits, not a lot of benefits out of the activity. If you're going to spend time doing this and energy, you want to see some benefits out of this. So make sure you're actually doing it right. Correct shoes, correct form, and correct training. Meaning 3 times a week, work on getting your heart rate up enough to be in that target zone.
So the distance isn't really the big factor. It's more
If you're doing a race, distance.
Right.
If you're not, no, don't focus on the distance. Focus on how long you spend, focus on your heart rate.
Well, I like to get a sweat, and it takes me usually about 1.5 miles, 2 miles.
I'll
About a
guarantee
mile
you,
and a half.
if you're staying in your target heart rate zones, you're gonna sweat.
Yeah, I know that. But then it's, I'm thinking distance, you know.
Don't worry about the distance.
Okay.
Don't focus on that because the distance is not going to tell us anything as far as are you exercising enough? Are you exercising at enough intensity? It doesn't tell us those things.
Okay.
Your time and your heart rate do. Those are the markers where we're actually going to see a change. And that's what you have to go off of. So are there any questions for me?
No, I love jogging.
Then
Well,
if
like
jogging
your
works for you, that's fine. You still need to make sure that you have the correct shoes
Right.
because even whether you're jogging or running, those shoes make a difference in your form.
Yeah, I know that.
If you have the wrong shoes, it will hurt you.
And that you're standing up, right?
But you're standing up straight. I want you standing up straight and tall. You should be running here. I don't want you running here.
That's what I mean. I didn't realize it, but I was doing a 5K and some little high school kid said, stand up! And I went, I didn't even realize.
We hear a lot of the cues, you know, you need to lean forward. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean this? No, it's only 1 degree from the ankles is the only angle forward of the body. That's it. So beyond that, I'm pretty much upright. It makes sure you can get enough air. It makes sure your form is good. It makes sure that your alignment is good. So make sure you stand up.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
and have a wonderful day.